Oh, good. I think those sounds again. Oh, not much I can do about that. Yeah, I have no idea what's doing that. Well, unfortunate. Alrighty, I'm just gonna reread the routed part first. Alright, tender is killed. That much is done. Firefight continues for minutes as the officers bait shots from the and force the agents to use up their ammo. Knopf and Ruth have good gaping wounds, but this is exactly how Knopf wanted to go, saving his allies from the evils of Barack. Hold on. The two toss out the last of their smoke grenades, covering from the trailer to the bus and further near the trees. They stand up and storm the officers. A hail of bullets hit them from behind, shot in the back by officers who circled around. The lovers fall, grasping for each other, dying in their arms, happy. Stomp and Friend make use of their deaths, sneaking into the smoke and carefully back onto the bus. They crawl to the back and prepare themselves for one last gambit. Linda and Mike have been safely waiting for the agents to perish, thinking themselves safe, forgetting a minor detail. The back door crashes open, knocking Mike off balance and shoving Linda off. Linda reactively reaches for Mike and grabs his arm, as Friend grasps the other, trying to pull him in. Friend, with his injured shoulder, struggles to get Mike inside, pulling against Linda's added weight. She's barely touching the ground, but is giving her all to pull on Mike. Mike tries to use the bus as leverage to pull away. Stomp fires shots out the window, covering Friend's back. Come on, inside, Mike. You've got a duty to sacrifice yourself. Get with the program. Just make a deal or something. Use your head for once, not just your hands. They're not going to make a deal with us without leverage against them. They just killed the lovers. Clearly they don't need us alive. But you and Linda, they want to keep you. You're both so talented. This act failed twice. Give up already. Turns his head to Linda, gives her a look, then back to Friend. We have CAIRE, don't just give up. We try harder. Where's that work ethic? Oh, right, you had none to begin with. Hated your job so much you'd be amused joining us. Such a weak spirit. I can fix that. Over a day's long talk, just you and me. Then you're not letting us go? We can talk about that later. Should really consider that now. Linda releases Mike, and he launches into Friend. Shoulder slamming him and bumping the man into Stomp's back, pushing her slightly away. As the slam lands, Mike grabs the stun baton of Friend's belt and thwomps him in the groin, discharging it. My Friend, a torturer by trade, has never received his treatments himself. His grip loosens and he is briefly stunned. Mike pushes off his body and launches out the door, which Linda hurls open, exposing those inside to the hard-working men and women of the Barack police force. Friend and Stomp take hundreds of bullets in the chest, back, head, legs, arms. No place is spared. Not for these two extremely dangerous and cunning individuals. All is quiet. Alright, so now we deal with the last part here. A talk. After the last of the agents go down, the kids breathe a sigh of relief. Officers walk in, tend to Swift and carry him off, while others bag the bodies. The commander approaches the kids and gestures to the other side of the bus, the one lacking bodies. The two follow, prepared to report. Good work with the walkies and the P-242 clue. We didn't have a secure feed from those things, only heard a bit here or there. But we did catch your signal, although child hostages isn't quite right, is it? I found a note in Pet's office about the local radio equipment interfering with the police's. I knew that any code I could get through would only help our situation. And since we never share that document with the others, we just let them ramble on. With me holding mine behind my back and broadcasting to vets, we heard some of the raid on the security office, figured vet wasn't an issue anymore. Although that eventually backfired on us. Stomp was an observant one, to notice your voice wasn't coming from Linda's walkie. Despite her situation and all the other walkies going off, to remember that detail after the fact. She was good. Yet it took until that moment for any of them to doubt you all. The loud one had no deception in his voice when he said you tricked them good. That brings up my main concern. Who are you? Linda Prash. Mike 10. My parents were cops until... Killed some years ago during a chase. They trained us especially for undercover work. If that were the case, why haven't I seen you before? You'd be working in my office, presuming you're local. We are local now. We live several towns over. My dad and his mom were single parents. They raised us together, trained us together. We're all set to become detectives. When they died, we were sent to an orphanage, and that's where this problem really took off. The documents showing that we were being trained for police work were hauled with the rest of our parents' stuff and deemed classified. The state agent could have gotten permission for a look at our documents specifically, but wouldn't. So the additions to your profile was secret, and she never verified your story. Certainly possible. The position of state agent is one of necessity, not ability. Headmaster of an orphanage, however, is incompetent. We've tried for years to get him to request access and get us out of the teaching. And... okay, why is this thing constantly doing that? What is this? It's only getting worse. This is actually being picked up. It's only getting worse. This is actually being picked up. Sounds like 50-50 on that. Well, I have no idea how to fix that, so it's going to be a pain in the ass. We tried for years to get him to it. If I just do this. Request access, remove us from teaching. But he told us off, that he knew it was his job. Much like the agent, he never bothered to check. I don't know who is worse. Okay, seriously? Well, I'll quiet it for a second. Okay, I guess it's the tip that's being the problem. Alright, well then in that case, we tried for years to get him to request access, remove us from teaching, but he told us off that he knew his job. Much like the agent, he never bothered to check. I don't know who's worse. The agent for me, we told her to talk to our parents' colleagues, and they could prove our story, giving her reason to look over the documents. But nope, she tossed us in the orphanage and assigned us to her public profile. Yeah, it's the tip doing it. That was just one day. We've tried the headmaster for years and nothing. The man can't recognize his faulty ability. He is just for pointing out these things. Weak of the mind. Normally, this wouldn't be something I'd believe outright, but you knew some codes, used the walkies to leak their conversations in the most strenuous of situations. Knew one of our silent codes, and even threw down your captors without hesitation. Officer calls out from several tents down. We've got another one over here. Big fellow, likely the ringmaster, been dead for hours. The man in the trailer, perhaps. No, we talked with them briefly. The boy with the tablet killed him. Apparently there was an altercation between him, the tablet, and Timothy. He was thoroughly brainwashed through the tablet itself. The AI called him son, and he called it mother. It's been some time. Must have filled some hole in his emotions. That doesn't make quite much sense. Man in the trailer, perhaps. Where is this line coming from? And the trailer came out, so that's not an issue. That was tender. Georgia State. This, I guess. Manipulated then. Good call on clearing the circus beforehand, but I wonder why no one bothered to get the boy too. Tender did say he was similar to Knopf, another who was unable to cope with standards, but isn't psychotic like Knopf. If he so easily fell under CAIRE's influence, and with no parent and immediate, also an orphan? Or not treated well because he can't keep up with the others? When I called in, I spoke with Peter, standing in for the ringmaster. I told him to evacuate everyone to the west ASAP. He should have thought to bring the boy along. Calls over an officer. Speak with Peter of the circus. Ask why Timothy wasn't taken with. Leaving him endangered. Leaving him here endangered him immensely. Interfered with our work. Officer runs off to the radio. Continuing with our conversation, this tender also trusted you, at least for a time. I'm impressed you tricked an entire team of infiltrators into thinking you were allies. But now, tell me, how did you come upon these people? We were with them for 3 days. The one who tried to pull me in the bus, friend, appeared before us. He pretended to be a journalist from another country, one who was against the teaching of Iraq. We quickly realized he had overheard our complaints about the agent and the headmaster, a common topic for us. He tailored his pitch to our situation, and we thought this was interesting, so we went along. His stealthy... His partner. Oh god, it's getting worse. His stealthy partner, Scout, showed up from within the fields. We never noticed him. He nods more. These are truly capable individuals. Their marksmanship, calm minds, and killing power are all the highest level. For some to be masters of their environment, this is both problematic. If one of them managed to escape your trained senses... You haven't mentioned his name, Scout, so he must have escaped then. Likely he's heading for the border and will successfully cross. The problem will solve itself then. We can't have someone like him wandering free under our noses. We've handled the rest of them, as far as we're aware at least. Please, continue. Does this follow quite right? So there. I guess it kind of works okay. We feigned interest, and Scout invited us back to the base, the university. We met the rest of them and heard the stories. Some wanted excitement, others a purpose, and Knopf wanted to burn the salt of the earth. We told Vet we'd be willing to work as inside informants for them. This was last night. We even sold an idea that would take decades to achieve, rally the people so the border's open. They bit on that. Odd. We proved to them we were serious. Fools. Why bother? And staying another day, you could have just reported to the local precinct. We know we'd be killed if we didn't pretend to join up. The reason we did all this in the first place is because our former colleagues, whom we did a lot of paperwork for, did not say a peep to the agent. We asked them, they ignored us. Effectively, they won't say if not prompted. I understand why, but they knew this wasn't right. We couldn't report them. They wouldn't listen. Why would anyone else? Couldn't report to them. Alright. We had to do all the work ourselves. That was clear outright. and we would need a lot of evidence, enough of our story to bring the team out here. That's why we joined, so we could learn about them, sabotage a few things, leave, report them proper. Besides, they wanted to completely take over Bjork. We just wanted our site to be fixed. But we just wanted our site to be fixed. The level of obsession with freeing this place was choking. We love this place, not just two particular people, just not two particular people who have already fucked us. Our officer comes back. Peter says that he sent someone to get Timothy while he gathered the others. Peter spoke with everyone else, so he had no reason to think Timothy wasn't with them. When we asked him about the boy, he went to the one assigned to bring him. The man apparently didn't follow orders and just left the kid behind. More interested in seeing Timothy gone than obeying police orders. Peter decked him on the spot. We have the man in question in custody. We'll deal with him later. Bring Timothy over to Peter. He'll be his guardian for now. You'll have some deprogramming to do, but that can wait. Officer salutes and heads back. How did you sabotage them? This morning I was cleaning Vet's office and found his reports, including the plans we were expecting. Oh, that's wrong. They were going to strangle us and dump us in the channel. The commander raises an eyebrow. There's an underground channel running beneath the campus and extending beyond the border. There was a natural cave-in, but CAIRE cleared it out. Fisher then conveniently left us. Left as we attacked, severing their escape route. Fisher then conveniently left as we attacked, severing their escape route. I took a good note of its handwriting, wrote up my own contingency plans, and we showed them to the weakest links. Fisher was easy enough. He believed it completely. Brad took a little convincing, but he quickly accepted the facts. He and Grease surrendered, I imagine, and talked immediately. They're actually quite capable in their own fields. Would fit in well here, plus I know tons about CAIRE. I had the same thought. They'll be of use to us, both as informants and as engineers. As long as they don't find out the plans were faked. CAIRE is all about severing loose ends and self-sacrifice for the cause. They have no reason to ever disbelieve those plans' authenticity. Mike's very good at forging notation. The best was one last effort to keep them from getting away. Grease gathered a full tank of gas, all that she could find. I looked for more and hid what I found away. As for the tankers you already gathered, I replaced half the gas in each can with water. These methods were effective, removing people who were not fully dedicated, and eliminated their means of escape, all while playing innocent. However, your ruse was discovered. I see some pin marks on your bodies. Friend and Stomp tried to torture us for information. We didn't give in. It helped knowing the bus was low on fuel and that the circus was near. I was hoping we'd get some sniper fire soon. Stomp again demonstrated her combat experience. She hoisted her head away just as the bullet hit the window, avoiding death even if just barely. You'd think Friend would have ducked too, but he was always so cavalier and upbeat. Then this other man in the trailer. So the other man. And this other man in the trailer. He was a long-range radio. Rad had made the walkies after Tenda was sent out to look for promising recruits. We knew he was unaware of our betrayal. Yet he went to the hostage route. He needed to escape with Timothy. He didn't need us, so that CAIRE's agents are expected to sacrifice themselves if needed. We're going to be hostages of the man regardless of whether we were members. We even told him that this was tried twice already and wouldn't work the third time. He noted that he wouldn't fire on promising young kids. He was unaware of the folly of that thought. Non-lethal rounds would have dropped us and he'd get lit up. We decided to just toss him and let you deal with it. We've done our part. We would have preferred to separate from the others during the raid, but friend kept us close. What of CAIRE itself? An international organization, community-assisted integration, and its religious extensions. They sell the idea of world peace at any cost. So many nations have fallen for this as is, even with all the contradictions in their teachings versus their ancient behavior. The tenets being the prime example. Brutality, amendment, recruitment, extremism. Knopf and Roof talked about executing prisoners without making use of them first, just for the fun of it. The techniques were truly brutal, more interested in killing than capture. CAIRE's world peace is removing from the world anyone who doesn't disagree, an empire type of peace. They are fanatically devoted to a mere hope of world peace, achieved by any means of desired, and that must have them in the forefront. It's nothing more than a religious institution where none within ask questions, and all those who aren't indoctrinated are killed. Alright, I should not have a hyphen there. That should be a separate sentence. Certainly one way to achieve unity, but terribly inefficient. There are too many holes to fall through to exploit. Given the fish are left, and the little world in the heads of Knopf and Roof, CAIRE doesn't actually care about the members or people in general. They just wish to expand the base of power. That was quite an attempt to infiltrate Iraq. I wonder how many other places within the borders have felt their taint. A decade ago was their first attempt. This was when they recruited Knopf. They brainwashed some official who was nearing retirement, their only ally on the inside. This was their only current operation, to gather more inside informants for the revolution. The agents you've encountered are the only ones. Friend and Tender were recruiters. Scout was, well, a scout, but Surly served as the commanders. Swift ran messages before the walkies were made. Heart Stomper was the head of enforcement, but Nofek, Fox, and Ruthless were always acted on their own. Grease, Rad, and Fisher were the utility. Timothy, like us, was recruited, although he actually fell for their insane beliefs. These are all the persons who were sent to Iraq, as far as we know. But was very forthcoming with information, given he could have just killed us anyway. We have no reason to think he was lying when he said this was the only current operation. Even then, they were here for only about a week. Though there was to be another group sent by boat. Few days. Fisher's return will stop that. Alright, the commander has been nodding this whole time, looking between the kids, and otherwise thinking about a few things simultaneously. At some moments of silence, he has his conclusion. Are you willing to put yourselves at further risk? After hearing their insane plans and seeing firsthand their fanatical devotion, I can't have them messing with Iraq. Yes, they're too dangerous to be left alone. I can't stand their unfounded beliefs and radical ideas to rot our home to its core. Commander strokes his chin. Keen observations, calm minds, long-term planning, expert deception and sabotage. Despite the foolishness of these agents, you still perform undercover extraordinarily well. Training and natural talents bearing great fruit, and a passion to pursue further. This is what makes Barak tick. Other lands can do their own thing, but we have our own way. Of our way. We will be pried away from self-perfection by a clearly hostile entity with no interest in self-exploration. You two will be returned to the orphanage, but you're not returning to any school. Far too great of a waste. I will speak with the headmaster and clear up this mess, documents or not. You two will then report to the police station and serve under my command. We have much work to accomplish before CAIRE decides to make a third trip. Ludo and Mike beam with smiles and nod emphatically, holding each other's hands. The future has been saved, not by some extremist society, but by a properly level-headed adult. It's getting worse as I tilt my head. It's the wires. Oh, I have no idea. Alright, well, Linda and Mike have been saved. The two stick around for a bit while the commander finishes up minor details here. The three are driven to the orphanage. Headmaster gets an experience of true chastising, beyond anything Timothy ever experienced. To take such a self-important man as a headmaster and treat him like a child who rebelliously shat on the desk, this is a sight behold. The kids take it in. The commander makes us leave and says that a car will be sent for them in the morning. Commander makes us leave, and the kids that a car will be sent for them in the morning. After the coming days of debriefing, you'll get them back into specialized training, more unique than what they've experienced so far. For the commander has a plan, one that would fit the idea the kids tried to pull on the agents when they joined. Yet CAIRE will not be the beneficiary. The fact that Scout escaped before learning of Linda and Mike's true leanings will surely be great use in manipulating this extremist group. His plan will not come to fruition for many years, but they have time, and so does CAIRE. We come back to the present, where the little boy is quite sleepy after hours of story. He sags in his chair, eyes drooping and rubbing help asleep. Across from him is Headmaster Mike, leaning over his desk, having just detailed their conversation with the commander. Headmistress Linda is sitting beside the boy. She's been watching him, observing his reactions to this tale. He's responded favorably in all the right parts. He won't be a repeat of Timothy. Did you learn anything, Fred? Did you learn anything, Fred? Don't you think Timothy sounded similar to yourself? Maybe a little, but I wouldn't trust some weird thing in my father's junk. Especially not that ridiculous story. He laughs a little in a sleepy way, shaking his head. That's a good thing to notice, Fred. You've been much more aware than... You are much more aware than young Timothy, and at 3 years his junior. Mike and Linda don't have high opinions of Timothy. They've never been so naive and stupid like he is. They throw him under the bus to reinforce to Fred that he has keen awareness as normal. The boy smiles, feeling better. What do you think when he was accepted? What do you think when he accepted Monica's aid? And of the relationship later? I thought her a weird situation. She clearly had an ulterior motive. People don't just help each other without reason. The whole mom thing, he must have been really desperate to have someone who cared for him. Mike will note later that Friend has proper awareness and observance for a boy his age. He's needed a little lesson regarding the merit of self-sufficiency versus evolving a teacher. Alright, seriously, stop doing it. Correct. There is a time and place to offer aid. Usually when it's an emergency. It's best to be self-sufficient at all times. That way you can progress on your own when you don't have access to anyone. But more importantly, can you really say that it was all you? God, this is annoying. Where was I? If someone had to step in to assist you, then can you say the result was your own efforts? What is of your own efforts? With your odd question, you wanted a teacher to show you how to do it better, if you couldn't figure it out for yourself. And can you really say you had the passion for it? Imagine being on the job and something comes up. If you're truly passionate, you can figure that out just fine. Problems arise when you are not dedicated enough and energetic enough to solve it on your own. You delay things and will likely have a falling out. You'll be reassigned to another job and just feel terrible for years to come. might reinforce the fact that getting aid is not the best call. If you can't do it on your own, then you'll just be a crutch later, a broken dream. We don't have our talents. It's best in the long run to stick with them. For some of us, our talents align with our passions. For others, following the talents has the best long-term results for both person and society. Passions can be pursued out of work and revitalize the spirit. This is fine. However, we do need to identify what the talents are and which are passions. We try to find the talents that are more enjoyed by the child so they can get into the best possible career for them. This may not be their favorite kind of job, but it's the one that'll last and not cause problems for society later. If we are all strong individually, then our combined efforts produce great things. We all contribute to make... This sounds like CAIRE. Not quite. We believe in being strong on our own. While CAIRE wants to have everyone make up for each other's weaknesses. We do unite to achieve greater tasks, but we can... Stop, buddy. Hair on there. Ah, goodness. I am greatly annoyed by this. I'll continue to be annoyed by this. The bigger the job, the more need they'll have to intercommunicate, call on others for assistance, and delay everything. There's also an extremist society built on lies, promises, and extremism. More of an empire's view on world peace. CAIRE is insane. They manipulated Timothy so much for no other reason than to progress their goals. Granted, it's Timothy's fault for trusting Monica, but that was really, really mean. What happened to him after she was destroyed? Did he leave the circus for another job? He's still in the very same circus. After he recovered from his family delusion, he came to despise... Oh god, I'm mixing things up. After he recovered from his family delusion, he came to despise CAIRE passionately. Similar to Knopf, but not as extreme. Timothy's not that much of an idiot. He's convinced himself that CAIRE's goal was to weaken Bureauc by removing the citizens self-sufficiently. Really? After everything? He doesn't know everything that happened, our side of the story, so I can see where he got that idea. It wasn't explained what they were doing, but it was explained what they were doing, but he wouldn't budge. It doesn't matter regardless, because he's still dedicated to turning in any agents he ever comes across, presuming they do something stupid and try to get back into Bureauc. Back to our previous point. He learned his lesson about accepting aid. He understood the need to be truly observant and attentive. After some self-training, he became as capable as most of the citizens, with some extra talent towards learning performances. He no longer wishes for a teacher, especially with how Monica manipulated him. That thing scarred him for life. So is now normal. Yes, in fact, Peter has taken over the role of ringmaster. He had the skills for it. Timothy is now the lead performer. You see his act very here. Oh, he's the guy from the Sat Circus, the one with the flaming staves. Yep, we take the kids every year to demonstrate to all of you the level of perfection a group can attain when each is individually strong. That makes sense. I'm headed to bed now. I've got sorting to do in the morning. Good night, headmaster, headmistress. He should have nodded to us at least, but I think we've dealt with the main problem. I wouldn't bother noting it. I wasn't going to. You're just a tad too stringent even after a decade. And? In a month's time, Scout will be in town with a dozen very skilled colleagues, just as Vet was back then. As they're utterly convinced the towns across the country will bell for those open borders. They should be relaxed enough to meet with their sympathizer amongst our leaders. Carver has planted plenty of his people all around the leadership. We will find this bastard. This report, passes the document, details all will be ready by the time the agents arrive. Linda looks it over. The other one is from Timothy. On the outskirts towards the eastern border, there's activity. a pair of agents have made contact with Timothy. They're part of a secondary group that will stay undercover while the rebellion takes place. CAIRE doesn't want the same mistake to repeat itself. Timothy is going to be their contact point, and knows where they'll be when the rebellion takes place. Peter will reroute the circus so Timothy can be in that town when this all goes down. CAIRE truly has no idea what they're getting into. How on earth did any nation fall to their crap? Scout's been here half a dozen times since we took over. He has yet to figure out who we've been playing him. The man belongs in the wild, not in a room. It helps that this matches with our pitched idea to vet. We're running an orphanage. The kids are little spies. Nothing changed there. Granted, they're on the lookout for anyone who seems to be trying to fit in, but he never asked. But he never asks about the kids. Or even assuring they learned the right way. Everything was true. Few lies for him to pick up on. He's only around for 10 minutes at most. Not enough time to get a feel, at least not enough for outsiders. I wonder if we'll get him alive, or if he'll take his own life like that. He trusts me, so I've got some advantage. Friend really screwed me there. The man stuck to me so much, Scout just became wary of me immediately. You've done well with the more serious ones. Geese to a flock. Annoyed glance. One of us has to be. I don't know why Commander Carver gives you as much authority as me. Looks out the window. Once this is all done with, the leader should have plenty enough to example to learn that staying insular is going to be our downfall. As much as we need the borders to stay closed, we can't just ignore the outside world, even if it's a bit backwards. CAIRE is a major power, and will come for us in force through some propagandist means. Much like how Friend portrayed himself when we first met, writing a story to get the people's hearts pumping. We're not going to stave these people off forever. Plenty of other countries should agree. As the only one to not fall to the creed, will have some sway. Especially with all the evidence of the sabotages. And Grease and Rad's testimony, the lovers who met within CAIRE, only to be betrayed by them. A lie on our part, but fuck CAIRE. They can also attest to how Bureaucracy is in general. There's quite a few misconceptions out there. Their success here, an emotional tale about CAIRE, should carry a lot of weight. CAIRE's not the only ones who can tell a story. Sell a story. Fred was certainly captivated. We'll let the writers handle that. At any rate, CAIRE will face a significant political backlash for attempting to instigate a civil war when they hop all about peace. Mike puts the papers back to the drawer and locks it. He and Linda stand and walk to the door. I never thought I'd like teaching, but paired with detective work, and it works just fine. Well, we needed to bench our true passion for the greater good. Once we're done with all this stuff, we'll get replacements and work abroad. We should do the same thing, perhaps in disguise, pretend to sympathize with CAIRE, gain the trust of the agents, and then throw them to the hounds. We could get surgery and infiltrate the organization itself. I couldn't handle all the peace talk of those idiots. Fair point. The two walk out the door, closing the office. In 1 month's time, Scout and his colleagues will rise with rebels. These are former children of the orphanage, who were all in various careers leading towards acting, lying, and the sort. They'll play their part, get the agents to expose themselves, and more importantly, their original contact in Bureauc. The man who is still not in retirement, and therefore easy to find. Commander Carver's operation will be a success, and all will be captured alive. None of the agents are super soldiers like Knopf and Ruth. These ones are more stealthy and social. The traitorous Bureauc leader will be caught and interrogated, the last of CAIRE's mark removed from Bureauc. Some years later, Bureauc, joined with other nations, will push back on CAIRE. Their method will be done similar to CAIRE, infiltrate and dismantle from the bottom. Perhaps CAIRE will be removed as an infestation of weeds in a garden. Perhaps hold their ground. At any rate, CAIRE's interference with Bureauc will be over. their position in the world stage questioned. They are going to pay for everything they've done. Barack will see to it. Alright, that means get rid of the extra spaces there. Why is there so much? Here we are. That's 11 from that. That finishes that story. Let's make sure I added this correctly. 13. That makes 50, 60, 87. 13 of that will make 100. So 37, 140 total. All right.